The Governess of Greyveil Manor, written by Beverly Oakley. I hope you enjoy this preview of Chapter 1, read by Beverly's avatar and a cast of characters.
Until next Wednesday, my dear.
Lord Pelham stooped to fetch his silk topper and gold-headed cane from the red velvet chaise longue, its plush fabric gleaming richly under the warm gaslight.
Though I am finding that weekly visits are proving entirely insufficient.
He cleared his throat, adjusting the crisp folds of his cravat.
Perhaps that should be the subject of an imminent discussion with Madame.
Marianne simpered, inclining her head just so, allowing the fierce heat from the roaring hearth to aid the blush his lordship would expect as the natural result of his particular attentions.
"Oh, my lord, nothing would give me greater happiness in this world,"
Marianne said, raising her head to receive his departing kiss.
"Oh, Miss Marianne, I reckon Lord Pelham wants to set you up good and proper."
Minnie, the little maid who'd been bustling about the room, hopped excitedly from one foot to the other, a feather duster clutched tightly against her apron.
"I hope Madame can strike a handsome bargain. Ain't it just what all you young ladies want? A fella with more coin than sense to establish you in a grand house and buy you all the pretty things you could fancy."
Marianne sent Minnie a long, considered look.
"Is that what they tell you? The ladies downstairs, I mean."
Minnie, who'd now dropped to her knees to stoke the coals, looked up, her soot-smudged face blank with surprise.
"How else you going to have a roof over your heads and enough victuals in your bellies to keep your skin white and your hair glossy? I'd be doing what you're doing in a flash, miss, if I only knew how to talk proper and had a bit more bosom."
Marianne managed a faint, bitter-sweet smile. She rose, the heavy silk of her wrapper brushing against her bare feet as she crossed the thick Axminster carpet and lowered herself onto the cushioned window seat. Outside, the leafy, secluded avenues of St. John's Wood disappeared into the gathering dusk. It was a picturesque suburb of stuccoed villas and hidden walled gardens, a haven built expressly for discretion and highly favoured by wealthy gentlemen looking to establish their chers amis far away from the prying eyes of Mayfair.
"If you knew how to talk proper, Minnie, you'd want to be a lady or a governess."
Through the polished glass, Marianne considered the first green buds of May blooming in the exclusive gated park opposite. New life, regeneration, new hope. For a fleeting, agonizing second, she felt the faint, unfamiliar budding of those very things within herself, though the prospect of being offered a formal etablishment as a permanently kept woman gave her little joy. But it was a step up. Lord Pelham was becoming genuinely attached. For a girl in her desperate situation, that attachment was the only fragile anchor to which she could pin her survival.
"Then why ain't you a lady or a governess?"
Minnie asked, pausing with the heavy brass poker in hand.
"Because it don't pay so well?"
Marianne contemplated the youngster for a moment. Minnie was one of 7, born and bred in the squalor of 7 Dials, a notorious sprawling rookery in London's East End where existence was measured solely in shillings and scraps. Of course the girl thought only in pounds and pence. It would be uncharitable of Marianne not to forgive her narrow view of the world.
"I was once,"
Marianne said softly, her gaze returning to the window. Minnie looked first surprised, then wary.
"A lady or a governess? Are you having a lend of me, Miss Marianne?"
"No, I was first a lady and then I was a governess.
Marianne shrugged.
And then I became this."
Minnie narrowed her eyes, no doubt trying to reconcile the grand, mythical ladies of her imagination with the flesh-and-blood woman sitting before her.
"How come? I mean, if you was a lady before, ain't that what you're trying to get back to?"
"I can never become a lady again,"
Marianne said, the stark truth weighting her voice with a sudden, quiet grief.
"Or a governess."
For a moment, the room fell silent save for the rhythmic crackle of the hearth. Then Minnie's eyes widened in dawning comprehension.
"You was ruined,"
she whispered. Minnie might not be lettered, but she understood the rigid, merciless hierarchy of the world they inhabited.
"Oh, me poor lady. No wonder Madame Chambon treats you so respectful, because she knows what a fool it must have been. if you was a proper lady once.
Marianne shook her head. She sighed.
Sadly, it's a slippery, one-way slope, this descent into ruin, Minnie. No, I shall never be a lady again, and no respectable mistress of any household will ever employ me to teach her innocent children, lest I communicate my scarlet sin to them.
She shrugged again, more stiffly now.
It's the way of the world. And in this world, Minnie, you actually have a much greater chance of climbing to a higher rung than I do. For once damned, forever cast out.
Minnie bit her lip, deep in thought as she stared down at the floorboards.
You ain't got no one, miss. No brothers or sisters, no ma or pa. Not that a pa would be much help if ruined is what you are, even though it's always a man what does the ruining in the first place.
Out in the gated park, 2 small girls in matching starched pinafores were playing hoop and stick, their nursemaids watching closely from a nearby bench. They were not sisters, likely. One was dark-haired and the other fair, but the sight struck a chord of painful familiarity in Marianne's chest, reminding her sharply of her own youth, of her own blood.
I had a twin once,
Marianne murmured, her warm breath fogging the chilly glass.
Called Celeste. She tried to help me.
Once?
Minnie's voice dropped.
You mean she's dead? Lor, I'm that sorry to hear it, miss. What happened to her?
She disappeared 3 years ago.
Marianne replied, her voice tightening.
And before I came here, I spent months trying to find her.
Oh, miss, how terrible that you still haven't found her.
Marianne wiped a stray tear from the corner of her eye.
I very much fear the worst, but until I can be certain, I will not leave one stone unturned to find my sister, to discover what happened to her.
She hesitated, the room suddenly feeling very cold.
And who was responsible?
Responsible?
Minnie breathed. Marianne turned her head slowly, looking directly at the maid.
My beloved sister used to write to me every week after she was turned out of the home we shared.
Her breath hitched.
Her silence leads me to fear the worst. In fact, given what I have discovered so far, I very much fear she is dead. In fact, it is my firm belief she was murdered.
Minnie gasped, dropping the brass poker onto the stone hearth with a sharp, echoing clatter.
Oh, miss, murdered?
Marianne nodded slowly.
That's why I came to London, because this is where I learned Celeste had come, and then the trail went cold. Don't ask me why I ended up at Madame Chambon's. It is a long and sorry tale. But really, Celeste's story began long before she ever set foot in London. If I had only known then what I know now, I would have bypassed this house entirely and paid a visit to the place where her fate was truly sealed.
And what house was that, miss?
Minnie whispered, enthralled. Marianne turned her gaze back out to the greying London sky. Icy fingers of fear clutched her heart as she whispered softly, Greyveil Manor.
This is the end of Chapter 1 of The Governess of Greyveil Manor, written by Beverly Oakley. The Governess of Greyveil Manor is available at all retailers and at Beverly's store and website, www.beverlysbooks.com.